So I'm going to do two more complicated problems, and then I'll start doing with some of the sample questions. So notice the direction still says find the least common denominator. We're just practicing on that. We'll talk about it in a little bit later, what you're going to do with an LCD. Just know right now your denominators do not match. So if we were adding this or subtracting this, we would have a problem. We would need to first find an LCD when your denominators don't match. If you're doing multiplication or division, we could care less if the denominators match. Only if this was addition or subtraction. So we're only focusing on how to find an LCD. So notice each of our denominators, one, they don't match, but two, is notice that they're still monomials. Even though they have more than one letter, they have x's and y's, this is still considered a monomial. Remember, terms are separated by addition or subtraction symbol. There's no addition or subtraction here, there's no addition and subtraction here, so they're each monomials. How do we break down a monomial? We told you, okay, they're not going to be a GCF because there's not more than one term, but we can factor it out by tree diagram. So we're going to do a tree diagram, save some time. Hopefully you know that 18 breaks down as 2 times 9, which is 2, 3, 3. Remember, you have to break it down to all prime numbers. Don't leave it as 2 and 9, because 9 can be broken down. And then x to the 6, you can write it out 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And y cubed would be 1, 2, 3. So this is broken down to all these. 24, break that down in a tree diagram. Now if that's a little harder for you, then do it on the side. You know that maybe 4 times 6. Or you could have done 2 times 12. It doesn't matter where you start off with. Just realize that this 4 or this 6 or 12 needs to be broken down further. So 4 is 2 and 2. 6 is 2 and 3. These are all prime numbers. Remember, 4 and 6 are composite because I can break them down to smaller units. So 24 is 2, 2, 2, 3. Let's do x squared. X, x. And then y to the 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we've done factoring out each of the denominators, we know our second step is to just create our LCD list. Basically, what I'm going to do is write down each of the different types of factors up there. You can see I have different types up here. When I do my LCD list, notice I have 2's. Put that in the list. 3, yeah, 3 is not in the list, that's something new. 3, already on the list, so it's a duplicate, so don't write it down twice. X's, write it only one time, because the rest are duplicates. Y's, write it one time, because the rest are duplicates. Let's look here. Do we have any 2's in the list? Yep, as soon as you see you have 1, 2, that's all you need. Because we're only writing down the different types. And only one type to each one. So this 3, already here. These x's, we wrote it down as just one type, x. And these 4 y's, we wrote it down one time. So there's nothing new. The other one we had ones that had new. This one, they're all up there in the first denominator. Once we write down each of the different types of factors, now we can worry about the number, the amount. So for each factor in the LCD list that we have, we need to put an exponent. So how we do that? Again, play the versus game. See how many 2's are in each denominator, and then grab the largest amount. That would be your exponent. So notice I have 1 here, but I have 3 here. So 1 versus 3, largest amount is 3. So I'll put a 3 as the exponent. Here, for the factor of 3's, notice I have 2 here, but 1 here. So 2 is the larger amount. So notice I went with the larger 2's here, but I went with the larger 3's up here. You can't go back and forth. It's not like, oh, grab everything from the top. It's just wherever you see the most. So for x's, we already know that there's 6 here, 2 here, largest amount, 6. For the y's, 3 versus 4, I need 4. So my LCD might look a little weird like this. So what we tell you to do is multiply it out. You should know that 2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. 3 squared is 9. So 8 times 9, 72. And then x to the 6, y to the 4. This and this would make this the LCD. LCD, if you didn't realize, will always be the higher of these two numbers or more. What does that mean? Your LCD could not be 18 because 24 is higher. Your LCD couldn't be a 9 because 18 and 24 are both bigger. This number can only be the largest of these two or higher. The reason why I say that is because this can go into this evenly. And this 24, you could divide 72x to the 6, y to the 4th evenly by this 24x squared, y to the 4th. We always grab the larger amount. So this is supposed to be either equal to the largest amount or more. That's why x to the 6, y to the 4th, and then 18 and 24, 72. Let's do another one of these where it's not monomials. Because not every problem that we have to work with are monomials. Let's do one that has a trinomial. So how do I find an LCD with trinomials? Well, the first thing you realize, if this was addition or subtraction, notice the denominators do not match. You might say, well, they both have p squares. No, to be matched, they have to match exactly. You can see negative 4p plus 4 and negative 7p plus 10. Yeah, there is difference. So the first thing we told you to do is factor each denominator completely. Because this has more than just one term, you do want to see if there's a GCF. Looking at the problem, I can tell you there is no GCF. Remember the 4, if you forgot. Do they have matching parentheses? Do they have the same letter in every single term? Do they have the same number factor in every term? Or does it start with a negative? No to each of those questions, so we're good for GCF. But then we count the number of terms left over. And notice we have 3 terms instead of 1 term. When there's 3 terms, we either do shortcut, arch, or FOIL. So we're going to have to factor each one of these separate. So look at this problem. Remember, 1, 2, 3 terms. We said no GCF. You either have to do shortcut, arch, or FOIL. Because there's no leading coefficient, you know me, I like to do the shortcut, which is the 6 steps. Remember, 2 sets of parentheses, break down p squared, p and p. Step 1. Plus sign, that means we're going to have the same signs here. Have to look at the middle to determine what type, because they could be 2 pluses or 2 negatives. Since the middle term is a negative, it's 2 negatives. That's step 2. Step 3 is do all the combos of 4. Done. Step 4, we got to do something with this list. Remember, because it's a plus, we have to add our list. So we get a 5 and a 4. Next, we got to choose the one that gives us the 4. Remember, because this is a 4. It's the 2 and a 2. And then finally, step 6, placement. Because they're both 2's, it doesn't matter where they go. Next, factor out the other denominator. 3 terms, no leading coefficient, so shortcut one more time. Break down p squared, p. Step 1. Plus sign for the signs means they have to be the same. 2 pluses or 2 minuses. When they're the same, look at this, and we determine it's 2 negatives. Third, do all the combos of 10. 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Step 4, we know we have to add our combos. Step 5, choose a combo that matches 11 and 7. Oops, we got a 7. So we're going to choose the 2 and a 5. And then finally, our last step, placement. Since they're both negatives, it doesn't matter who gets the 2 and who gets the 5. Now that I've factored each of the denominators completely, we have to create an LCD list. So all you're going to do is just write LCD. And I do my colon. And then I write down each of the different types of factors. Factors. So, not this, looking at these factors. So look at one denominator. See what types of factors does the one denominator have. It looks like they only have parentheses p minus 2. Binomial p minus 2. Notice this is already in the list. It's a duplicate, so don't write it out again. P minus 2 over here, ooh, it's already on the list, so we don't have to write that guy out. But p minus 5, not on the list. So make sure you include that in your list. P minus 5. Now that you have that, do the versus game. So we got each of the different types. You can see there's only p minus 2s and p minus 5s. So now we need to know the amount. So that's the versus game. For p minus 2, how many are in this denominator? 2. How many were in this denominator? 1. Remember, there's a line right here. This is one denominator, that's another one. So 2 versus 1. I'm not adding them. I'm not saying there's 1, 2, 3. I'm doing the versus game. 2 here, 1 here. Largest amount wins. That's 2. For the p minus 5, 0 here, 1 here. So 0 versus 1, largest amount wins. Now, when they are binomials, I do not multiply them out. I only multiply them out when they were monomials. But when they're binomials, I would leave my final answer like this. So this is how to find the LCD when you have trinomials instead of monomials.